welcome. Hi. This is another episode of Leaving the Farm with Pat and Tami. Tami, are you in?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Oh, good. Yeah. Where?
Whoa.
What are we? How are you doing?
Very well. How are you doing?
I see we defaulted, and then the Board of Commissioners came in and argued the default. They called it a motion, which is not a motion. It's actually the order.
When was this?
The funniest thing, this was the day after, so it took them a whole day to write the same thing they wrote before for the judge. But the neatest part in there is that the Board of Commissioners answered on behalf of all defendants. So they answered on behalf of Congress, Senate, corporation, companies, everything else. And I thought it was quite profound because here they are, you know, we had our summons answered. And as you know, Roman law, winner take all, but what that means is that the Roman citizen has now changed to be the public entities or corporations. So we can no longer be declared dead because we can't be lost. The Roman citizen is the one that's lost.
Dang.
And I got to talk on something else. Just before the show, I got a text message saying that Jack Bauer has passed away.
Car accident.
Well, the thing is that, you know, when these useful idiots are promoting a cause and they don't know what the cause is, they don't know what it's all about, and they fight against other people, when their usage has been met, they're just off by their puppet masters. And I, you know, just having found out that Jack has passed away in a car accident, of course it's not, most likely not a natural thing, and I'd like to get to the bottom of who killed him because there's a lot of other people, Louis Ewing and others, who've come up against us because they like statutes, they like, you know, administration until they start realizing, and I believe that might be the reason that Jack Bauer met his demise today, and everybody needs to be aware that we need to keep a watch on everybody. You know, what he's done is nothing, okay? They were reporting false allegations against me, yada, yada. All this does is offend the title if you have an ego. Now, I don't have an ego, and that's why I tell everybody, don't defend me. Titles are nothing. Jack Bauer is a human being. Man, he's the reason I'm here today. You know, we may have had our outs in recent times because he's sitting there and he's being indoctrinated by another crowd, and he's upset with us because it's scary. And we were all there. We were all patriots. We were all subject to their cognitive dissonance. And, you know, the first time I was on the air was with Jack Bauer and Kurt Hollenbach, and everybody knows that Kurt and I have had our disagreements as well. But the thing is that I wouldn't be here without them. That first night, I was so nervous. I'd never had a public experience before. I mean, this is just sick. Come on. And we've all got to stand up together. Now, there's a ton of people just like Jack. There's people in the mental health industry. There's people in the hospital. There's doctors. There's nurses. There's cops. There's FBI agents that are experiencing cognitive dissonance. And yes, right now they think they're my enemy, but they're not my enemy. They're acting as useful idiots, and they're innocent of these things. And now here's another person, another human being, a real life that's been cut short because of this shit. You know, and I do this, and I do what I do because we want to protect all of humanity. This is not right. People are dying every single day. And everybody needs to just wake up and realize what this is, who we're up against, and why he just died. I mean, he's only in his 50s. Come on.
In a car accident, it's so easy to facilitate We see it all the time in anybody who's even remotely, on the track or whatever. But when those who think that they're doing the work of the government under some guise that it's the white hats or whatever useful idiot thoughts people carry out these jobs for, this is an eye-opener. It really is something to think about. They're not untouchable. You're not valuable. You're expendable. You're just expendable.
Absolutely. And the way that they hold people in these states are usually by threat. Louis Ewing he had CPS come upon him years and years ago telling him that he murdered his baby and his baby died of SID, sudden infant death syndrome. Now, what's happened is that for all these years, he's got this held over his head. CPS at any time can come in and make these claims against him, and they know that they're false. They know absolutely that those are false allegations. And Louis Ewing has come up against everybody. I mean, everybody knows Louis. Everybody's seen him in our rooms and everything else. He does that because he has to. They hold this over his head. He didn't do anything to his baby. He didn't harm a baby. This is how they get them to act. This is the reward or benefit of being a beneficiary gets you. And we've got to stop, and we have to protect each other because we know that the false allegations can be maintained. We know what these cops do. We know what CPS does. And Louis Ewing needs to be protected just as much as anybody else. He's an innocent. Don't stand too close to him right now because he's in statutory land. But, watch him and make sure that he's okay and make sure others are okay. The reason we do what we do is to limit the collateral damage. And that's what they call it when they take out human life, collateral damage. I don't
Casualties.
like collateral.
Casualties. Nice words like that.
Absolutely. I mean, these careless words and these things are maintained by psychopathy. And we've got to, and that's the whole reason I've been doing this. I live and breathe this because we want to limit the liability, limit the collateral damage. We don't want to see the next Holocaust. And at this point in time, we're going to see the next Holocaust. Those assholes that just killed Jack, I don't think they get it. There's no funding in it. Debt derivatives are nothing in comparison to what they just lost. They're no longer a member of the International Monetary Fund. There's nothing left.
Well, this anti-government, conspirator terminology now that they're using, it makes it easy to pray. And then if you've got some bozo saying that there's a list and he doesn't have to go through any process to pick you off, like we saw happen to Dorner, and, Yep.
And pitting us against each other. And like I tell all the students, watch these things. And if somebody comes up against any one of us with false allegations, go to that person. Ask them for the evidence. There is none. They're paid to do this.
Talk to your families, too. Bring this to your families. Let them know, what this anti-government title label that they're trying to put on anybody who asks questions or who doesn't go along with oppression and dictatorship and censorship and, rights violations and privacy, all of that, killing people for oil or for resources or for the global cartel. Start spreading this to people to family members, so that they don't fall into this public consensus the campaign that's going on now.
Absolutely, and especially if there's false allegations. That's the time you need to open your eyes and realize, what's going on here. I know this person. That's my sister or my son or my dad. I know them, or my mom. I know these people. What would make them change? Well, nothing, unless they have some kind of pressure or force behind it. If they're not an evil individual and they're not beating kids or beating you or whatever else to begin with, what the hell are they doing falsely accused of these things? You know these human beings. You know them intimately for the most part. And you need to question everything. we're coming upon a time where it's required that you live in reality. And if reality says they're not an abusive individual, they're not a child abuser, they're not a pedophile, then reality is they're not those things. And you need to really look at who's making the allegation, why they make the allegation, what benefit is there, and indict the person making the allegation. You just cut it off at the knees. There is no more. You have to hold them accountable, and you have to hold them accountable now before this goes any further.
I was going to offer a perspective, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? So good to hear you. Oh, my. I really, really want people to pay attention to this as well. Those that are playing in the statute game, you are endangering your life. Because there's a fundamental, ethereal, this is where I love working with Tami and Pat, because Tammy's got the divine feminine essence approach bang on and has them running. The one thing that people need to understand, if you're going into court or you're playing in their fictitious statute game with your name intact without the fraud removed, i.e. in your intent, you are committing fraud, they will, and they can, honorably take you out. This is why you need to stand in truth. And that's the only perspective I want to share. I just did a paper on it today. I'm trying to get it uploaded. It's called The Long and Short of It. And you can't be half in the game and half out. Now, like, take your approach, for example, Tami. You have come at these guys from the absolute spiritual, feminine side of things. And why it resonates with me is because this whole patriarchal system has been designed to register, to rule the creative, divine, feminine essence. And they literally have to get us to surrender it to them. And when the parents do that, when they surrender their child up for adoption to the state via registering them with a birth certificate, the only document that ever comes back is a birth certificate, which is an offer to contract, and then it's actually the parents that aid and abet the children into using it fraudulently and unknowingly. And if you do get time, I'd really like you to have a look at the paper I just put together, trying to outline this. But it's things like, these, how do they put it, involuntary suicides is what I call it. Car accidents are one of the top things they use, heart attacks if they can get close enough and stuff like that. And it is no surprise, but I have to tell, this is warning. If you're playing in the statute game, thinking you can beat them from their courts in their arena, that's where you're different, Tami, and what you're teaching is entirely outside the box. It's holding them accountable on a spiritual level, which is going to keep you safe. That's why you are. End of story. You stand in the truth. But anyone else that wants to go out and stick around with these morons, you're taking your life in your hands, and your honor is at stake because you're committing fraud if you're using the name that's on the birth certificate. End of story.
And your children and your family.
Absolutely, and you're bringing them in there under 18 U.S.C. 1342. It says if you use or assume the fiction, you receive mail in the mail, and you use or assume that fiction, you're being charged as a felon. It's not just a simple fraud or whatever else. It's a felony. 18 U.S.C. 1342. And that's their property until you obliterate it. And you cannot be charged with felony after you obliterate that property, and that's what the forgiveness doc does. The executor doc comes in and allows you to execute that property. You can do whatever you want with it, and that's yours. You're the administrator. You're the legislative body. You're the judicial body, and that's something that everybody needs to wrap their heads around, because this is, you've got to stand. You've got to stand now, and we've got to protect each other. This is just sick for this to happen to Jack at this time.
We were talking about this in the Skype room today, the 18 U.S.C. 1342, and once the male executor obliterates shreds the bond, the connection to the legal fiction, when the female is covered, she can use that legal fiction because she's protected, right?
Absolutely. And
what about the male?
That's what I'm doing now. Well, the male can't. He cannot submit to their jurisdiction. See, with me, when I'm using the fiction, I'm submitting only to his jurisdiction. He's the only one with jurisdiction over this estate.
But if the male if the male has expatriated from the House of Representatives into his own house, he is the I am and the king, then
absolutely.
Why wouldn't he be able to have free access to the name that they fraudulently patented anyway?
Because they never had jurisdiction to begin with. It's all by his consent.
Okay.
And so he can use that name. He just can't put it anywhere. He can't register it. He can't do anything because up until that point, if he's registered or something, then that's what gives them jurisdiction over that.
So the submission back into the system using that name is what we're talking about. And then that would be like for DMV licenses, all of that junk, right?
Yeah, rents, utilities, and he doesn't want to use the fiction, but, if he's got a female under his house, he can use her fiction because that's his title. That's just how we did it. That becomes his title.
Okay.
He can move it around and do whatever he wants with it. And, again, I mean, that to new people who are listening tonight, that sounds like a scary thing, but it's really not. A psychopath will not sign the forgiveness or executor doc because they're not going to give everything up. And that's part of the process. So if you if you're a female and you want somebody to be your executor, just make sure that they've done the forgiveness and executor doc themselves. Do not just pick an executor and have somebody on the outside or practicing statute be your executor, because then that's when you would be administrated and you would be held chattel. So make sure that the forgiveness and executor doc is done prior to that time.
I think for new people, it's probably the concept is a little bit out there because we haven't really spoken a whole lot about the use and the V of that Sescu V trust and why it is what it is, and that it's not a submission factor or a subservient factor or anything like that.
No, since the letters patent of Henry, when Henry gave his son John, the ability to patent newly found lands and estates, that's where the use got picked up. And it was also in the coronation charter as well, where females were held in chattel. And always, the state matriarch, it's actually female in presence, is the dice female, has always held females in chattel. And female is the use. And that's the reason she's kept in chattel is that, here she is, she can submit, register all over the place. She can do whatever she wants, free housing, free schooling, free welfare, food stamps, daycare programs, you name it. She can do all of that and enter into contract with the other father. What she's doing is she's assigning it on to the male, which is the vi, the life that measures, and that's how it's happening. That the male is kept in perpetual servitude by the chattel, and she's the one that's contracting. She's the one, on these welfare applications, it says something like, you're agreeing that you're assigning this onto this name, and then she signs his name. Well, that's a bank assignment. That's a remittance. And what she's turning the mail into is the corporate paper or commercial paper, their paper, negotiable instrument, Federal Reserve note, and that's how it's happening, is she's assigning that estate. And she's doing the same thing when she gives up her kids. If she goes into court and she asks the court to do anything, calls it her daddy, she's assigning the children now as product onto the estate. And that's another reasoning behind the forgiveness and executor doc as well, because once she makes that assignment, she's prevented inability from ever claiming that estate again, because that's what's known as estoppel by assign, or she's a grantor. And once you grant that estate, you're giving it up forever. You're giving up any and all interest in it. So if you call CPS and you make a false allegation, or you go into court and you ask the court to determine a custody manner or anything else, you're assigning that child onto the estate and giving up interest in that estate. And
I don't think that's what we don't know. That's what women aren't told. We're told that this, backup system is because, women have been so unfairly, treated, and, this is all a real benevolent thing to take care of kids in the case of, deadbeat dads, for instance, where the state actually makes these dads into deadbeats.
Right.
And encourages these false charges and all that. So we go in there in need or whatever and don't realize that we're putting assignments into our children that will continue on.
And giving up any and all interest. I mean, that's the main thing, is that you're giving up any and all interest in that estate. You just abandon the whole thing.
And that was something I never understood, because I asked you one time and said, well, how is it then if the father is cut off, why doesn't the mother? You said something. There was something in Black's law that talked about only the father or something could be the parent.
The creating free children. What that is Bouvetier's maxim. I can't remember the Latin right now off the top of my head, but the English translation is offspring shall follow the condition of the mother, as is the case in slaves and animals. Free men shall follow the condition of the father. And so when she makes that assignment and she gives up any and all interest in the estate, that interest is transferred as the conversion of property over to the judge. Now she's calling the judge the other daddy, and so that's why dad's having to fight for visitation rights, because the other daddy doesn't want to share with him, according to those rules. Burrito's rules says that the real biological dad over here is going to fight like hell for those kids, because he's a dad. And that's how the estates are being redistributed right in front of your eyes. You're going to pay, on average, in the first 4 years of that child custody case, dad's going to put in $150,000 cash into the booty, and it's going to go to attorneys and judges and everything else, and he's going to lose all of his houses, his toys, cars, everything else, while he's fighting for those children. That is what I've been trying to describe. That is the action of piracy. Your children have stolen.
I was going to say, Tammy, just to put it in a nutshell for people, effectively what they've done is they've put all the power in the weakest link by appearance. That's, why they've made the women second rate. They use religion for that, by making women second rate in terms of equality. And I'm just trying to get it into layman's terms for people so they can just get the idea, because it's the same thing with the court. I mean, the real power in the court isn't with the judge; it's with the clerk.
No.
They're the one handling all the money.
Right.
And
it's in mom's hand, because mom's specialized. She's going to get a whole bunch of benefits. She's going to get her ego stroked, but she's still losing, because the minute dad loses custody, within the first 10 months, mom's going to be diagnosed with something, and they're going to start the redistribution of those children back onto the state at the second time. So within 10 months, mom's going to start losing access to her children. And within 2 years, she's going to fully lose those children into the system. But in the beginning, she believes that she's winning something. And she's not. She's losing the children, because now there's no dad there to fight for those kids. The children now, because of mom, because she's been specialized to this extent, the children are all medicated on ADD medications, ADHD medications. They're all in therapy. They're all generating revenue based on the International Classification of Diseases and Disorders. So these kids are being diagnosed as abused. They're getting notes home from school saying they're acting out. We need to put them in juvenile justice programs. We need to put them here. We need to put them here. Those are all the forms of production. Those are all forms of production on a farm. These children are being farmed out, and mom's allowing it to happen. Now, this is why we're here. We are females. We need to stand up for our children, because right now, the female is the one with the hand of God, and she needs to give that up, drop the title, and be God. She has no idea her power, and she needs to take it back, and she needs to put it back in the family and protect her damn family before it's too late.
Now, to connect the funding of this, when the female goes to the other daddy, to the state, and is assigning the kids and doesn't realize all this, they're giving these quote-unquote benefits, but that comes from the International Monetary Fund, right, through the special drawing, right?
Right.
Okay.
And now those are cut off. Those are cut off. But until June, they're still running on these things, thinking it's still there. You know, we've got to stop this because they're still thinking that funding is there. The United States Incorporated is no longer a member of the International Monetary Fund. That means those monies in the Federal Reserve, they're not there. They just think they are. And this is how it happens every year. Every June, they do the projections on the next year's productivity. And every year is when they put in the remittance forms so that they can call out the production from last year. Now, they won't realize that the IMF is no longer funding them until June when they put in the remittance forms. And this is, you know, this thing about OPPT or whatever, that's all done. I mean, that's over. They had a claim on what? They said they had a claim on the Federal Reserve, blah, blah, blah. Well, what do they have a claim on? That's only an action. It's not a bank. Federal Reserve is an action. It's a reservation. It's a reservation on rights. And that's what each ism is. Feminism is a reservation of mom's rights over dad's. Racism is a reservation of black people's rights over the white people.
Discrimination.
Right. Anything. Any ism is a reservation on rights. And so that reserve, the Federal Reserve that little Miss Attorney over there says she's got a claim on, it's an action. What does she have a claim on? You know, she's insane, and I know what she's doing. She's trying to implicate the same damn thing that the League of Nations implicated with the 1777 Articles of Confederation, but she's not able to claim that because it's an action facilitated by trust, which is what the IMF is. This trust is what pays out because the judge sits there as the trustee, and what we did in this case is we provided evidence that these judges are not the trustee. If you're not being a trustee, what are you a trust of? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so they've lost everything, and here we are, we're the trustees. We're the ones that are protecting everybody, and that's something that everybody needs to wrap their heads around. The United States, us, we're protecting everybody. Those are our funds, and they've been our funds since we started protecting everybody. No, they can no longer access them. And this again, it goes back to Roman law, winner take all. If you're not acting as a judge, how can you call yourself a judge? You know, an attorney cannot make orders. Only a judge can. Well, what's a judge? A judge can view evidence and rule accordingly. That's it. And if you have attorneys in a court, that's a convention center. That's not a court. So you just condemned the whole thing, which is what we laid down. That's never been argued.
What was the Board of Commissioner thing? They were arguing what, though?
Same thing they argued on behalf of the judge before. They're saying it's unintelligible. They don't know what they're talking about.
Oh.
You see, the Board of Commissioners has been number one on our service list forever, proof of service since October 30th. So they've been made aware of everything, and they've never argued anything until now when they got the default judgment against them. And now they're saying, well, we don't understand none of this shit, whatever. You know?
I think I'd say that, too, if I was a crook and didn't want to get caught.
Absolutely, but it's already done. When the clerk, what happens is the clerk has the power and authority to enter whatever judgment they're going to enter. And if you go to Pacer right now, our judgment is entered. The clerk entered that.
I bet she's unhappy.
No. She's great because she still gets funding. She's adhering to the public law.
Well, the way they cannibalize each other, there's no risk to her?
No, because the minute she entered that, she's adhered to the public law, and they don't have any benefit in her hurting her.
Oh, okay. So it's always all about the money, not about just business. Just business. No emotions. Okay. Jury
just own them, and that's all it is. The court process is jury just own them. The foreign state just doing business.
Yeah, I want to jump in here. Yeah, there are lots of emotions, and it's all the wrong ones because, you know, as I'm sitting here, I'm seeing how easily people are controlled through their egos or, you know, the greed and the gimme, fighting in the sandbox bullshit mentality that has been indoctrinated into our our humanity. And this is my call out to women as well, that you need to grow up. You need to pull your socks up, and you need to take responsibility. There is no point in getting angry and seeking revenge. The old saying is, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord," and you can take that whatever way you want. But until you can actually start seeing the responsibility of being a mother, first and foremost, if you want to treat your children like belongings, and I've went through that, it is beyond sickening.
And that's the title of mother. See, that's something he's striving for. But if you hate children and you don't like them, you don't have any interest in them, and you don't care for them, that's not a mother. It's the presentation of something that is not a mother, and it's just something else. I mean, it's just so sick.
I think there's a lot of women who actually do, love their children and are, they want to be good mothers, because that's how we've been socialized to think, to try to, take care of our kids and things like that. And so in situations because of unknowing, have gone to this backup resource, not knowing what we were doing. So I don't think, I just don't want to have everybody think that we're categorizing anyone who's in this situation.
Oh no,
you know what I'm saying?
And I'd like to see something else about that, because a lot of these behaviorisms that mothers are exhibiting, that's normalized behavior. I've been around so many that control their children, and they'll yell, and they'll do this or that. A lot of these behaviors are normalized. Their own mothers taught them this, and I always go back to Jesus. If you don't have any intent to harm your children, you are not bad. You're not horrifying. You're not psychopathic. You can only be psychopathic if you actually have intent to harm, and you don't care, what happens to them. And the worst judge is ourselves. And I watch a lot of people yell at each other and scream and slap and whatever else. But the thing is that I've watched their parents do the same thing, and you can observe these behaviors throughout generation after generation after generation. And again, it goes back to intent. That's a normal behavior. I've watched that reaction. It's like a knee-jerk reaction to slap a child, or knee-jerk reaction for them to yell at a child, or scream, or whatever else. That is an innocence. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's an innocence because it's mean, but it is an innocence because it's normalized behavior. That's what they were taught. That's how their parents
conditioning.
And for those that are going through that, and this is the time when you're judging yourself the worst, you're your own worst enemy. Stop judging yourself. If you did not do anything with intent to harm, you are innocent, and you need to forgive yourself. And that's what Jesus is talking about. Forgive these debts. Forgive things like that, because you didn't do anything with intent to harm. And
in the case of women who sell their children into prostitution because they don't have funds to survive, that would be a straight up psychopath.
Right.
When your needs are more important, and you'll use your kids to get your needs met, that's a dividing line.
Right. And a lot of the times, the majority of abuse perpetrated on women and children is in dyke relationships, not lesbian relationships. The dyke female is a psychopath, and what she does is she owns women and children, and she'll beat up on them. And that victim female is not allowed by herself and by her situation to protect the children. And so she needs to forgive herself from allowing the children to be harmed. That is not with intent either, because she's stuck in Stockholm Syndrome. Here she is. She's her head's being beat in. Children are being beaten and everything else. She needs to forgive herself and just get out of that situation. That's what Jesus defined as fornication. Not the lesbian relationship, not a gay relationship, but fornication is having somebody own your body, allowing somebody else to own your body. Don't allow another to own your body, and that includes going into court. That includes laying your children on the stake. Don't let anybody own your body. That is fornication. You know, you can love anybody you want to. I mean, this is humanity. You're going to love and love so greatly just being allowed, and that's why we're against gay marriage. We're also against straight marriage, too, because that's fornication onto the state. When you enter into contract with the state, you're fornicating with the state. Now, in reality, in relativity, and according to public law, marriage is by intent. I love you, you love me, we're just together, and we're together forever. We plan to have a family together. You know, we sit down and talk about our intent. That's marriage. That's unity. That's cleaving.
And when the state comes in and tries to manipulate you so that you can have, their insurance programs and stuff, if you will only do this or that, that's...
Yep.
I mean,
and that's being bought off. That's being bought off. You know, you're selling your soul for that insurance or that retirement plan or whatever else. Now, the way that we're doing everything, the reason that they need gay marriage and they need straight marriage is for the simple fact that they're allowing now to get your inheritance. Okay, that's all this is about, is getting the inheritance before the heir can get in there. That is the action of interpleading. Now, when push comes to shove, go up against them. Why are you preventing me from my inheritance? Show me your title. Show me your allodial right and title to my inheritance. You know, that's the answer. The answer is not, oh my gosh, I need to get married and we need to hurry up and push these laws so we can get married. That's not the answer. The answer is, what the fuck are you doing in my inheritance? What the fuck are you doing here? I'm the heir.
Right on.
You know? And everybody needs to stand up. I mean, we're all being abused equally. We're all being abused equally, and we need to stand up on behalf of each other. You know, and if you go into the hospital and your lesbian or gay lover is not allowed to see you, you need to take care of that. Indict the people preventing you from seeing your loved one. Somebody is putting themselves in between you and your loved one. That's what attorneys do. They put laws up in your place. This is what Jesus said. You are shutting up the kingdom of heaven. They're shutting it up. You need to open that door. Indict them. You know, you've got all these anti-gay congressmen and anti-gay senators and everything. Indict them. They're shutting up the kingdom of heaven. Ask them what right you have to be involved in my inheritance or my life or my being. Indict them. Hold them accountable. Somebody just opened your door of your house and came in and decided to put their name on all of your stuff before you could stop them. Any other place, you'd take a bat to them or shoot them between the eyes, you know? But here,
right.
with the legal process, everybody's just consenting.
We're just so used for them inserting themselves into our lives, and so, I mean, as corrupt and friggin', they have no authority. I mean, they have absolutely no authority, but we keep giving it to them because we think that they're our government, that somehow they have this magical power that they can just shit all over our lives, and we just allow it.
Absolutely, and that's why you have to hold them accountable. That's why we're doing what we're doing, because it's like, what the hell? Everybody else is just cowing down.
It's like the bully in the schoolyard stealing your lunch money times, trizillion.
Absolutely. Why are we allowing that? And a lot of it is the fear of death. I'm still here.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what that is.
I'm still here. And everybody needs to realize that. It's so
well, look at the tiny dot. The tiny dot video shows just the proportion of the masses of people versus the tiny little dot that calls itself the IRS. If we dissent, they can't do shit.
Absolutely not. And the thuggery is just, it's funny now. This new claim, I'll have it up as soon as I've got access again, but this new claim by the Board of Commissioners is a reiteration of a prior claim, of the judge that was recused. And then they put a new judge on the case. Well, that new judge says, I'm not touching this. And so they timed out. Everything's defaulted, you know? But it's so, I mean, this is so funny now. They're just scrambling around, and there's nothing they can do.
Well, you know, just listening to the saber rattling and the, you know, verbiage out on the airwaves and stuff, it's like they have to try to talk everybody into going along with things. If they had, you know, ability or power, they just do it.
Right.
They're trying to get us to report on each other and, you know, convince us that, you know, anybody who dissents or whatever is some crazy fucking idiot, and you better not be around them. You better turn them in. And, you know, they're trying to ruin our way of life, you know, because this freaking society is such a healthy, happy place, as millions are having their homes, you know, stolen out from under them, their children stolen and tortured and raped and murdered, and their patents and ideas, you know, stolen by these fucking greedy bastards. It just never ends. I mean,
until now.
Until you know, now.
And it's so sad that it's ending this way. But you know, they were told they were given
sad at all. We have quite a few callers. Are you ready to take a call or two, or 5 or 10?
Sure.
Okay, let's start with, let's see, 660 area code? Or can you hear us, 660? Were you just listening, or did you have a question?
No, I
Going once? Okay, 660, I'm going to take off your mic then if you're not. All right. Let's go to, looks like 760 Carol. Carol, 760 area code. Your mic is hot.
I don't know why I didn't press the one button, but I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well, we can't tell from here who's actually just listening or who wants to talk.
By Carol Davis.
Okay,
yeah.
I will put you back on mute then.
Okay, dear. Thank you very much. It's a good call, and thank you for what you're all doing for us.
Thank you for being. Okay, now we're going to go to 817. Were you just listening, or did you have a question? 817 area code. Your mic is hot.
Just listening.
Okay, I'm putting you back on hold.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Karen McDonald. Did you want to chime in, or were you just listening as well?
Is that my Karen?
Karen McDonald. Going once, going twice.
Hi, your
480 area code. Were you just listening? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, carry on.
Let's see. Another thing, we wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I think this coming Thursday, or the Thursday after that, 28th, we've got a show with Human Transcending on Thursday, April 28th, at noon Eastern on freedomslips.com, brought to you by Revolution Radio. Don't forget for updates on cases, listening to the Bo and Rocco show every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time on freedomslips.com. If you like our videos, donate to Zach at Verdict Productions. And if you like the show, Syncrenicity, brought to you by Critical Mass Radio on CMR. And if you'd like to donate to Syncrenicity. Katie's got a PayPal, too, and I don't have it offhand. I don't have access to the Internet right now, but we can get that to you whenever we need to.
When was that on Thursday, did you say? What time was that on Thursday?
Let's see. 12 to 2, I think. Yeah, it's noon Eastern, so it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 2.
Then you would be open for that other. You would be open for that other engagement on that OYM show on the 28th. Okay.
Yep.
I'm confirming it now.
Yep. That one's at 7, I think. And, wow, it's been busy. We also, the order that I was speaking of earlier was the simultaneous action order and entry of default judgment, which has happened. It was entered by the clerk on the 9th. The one before that was not argued. The simultaneous action and order condemning the Superior Court and all of its officers was not argued in any way. And since they both defaulted, the default was on both levels now. The second default and the entry was with the foreign state, the national state, and on the federal level. So Congress, Senate, corporation company, NIPSCO, League of Nations, IRS, Northern Holdings and Trust, all of these have been defaulted. And what that is they've been found guilty now of everything that we alleged in the admission statements, a.k.a. bill of particulars that was never argued. And then on the lower level, the national state has been found guilty of RICO violations, of course, and the pattern of pervasive behavior of RICO Act. Gosh, my mind is just slipping away. I don't have the fortitude tonight of death, but those are both defaulted. We just lay it out from here. Of course, the Board of Commissioners is trying to argue, but they're outside their time. First of all, second of all, they answered for all of the defendants in their request, so that means that everybody answered to the summons, maintaining that these corporations are dead and they're now lost at sea. That's the action of implied color. That's why I've been telling everybody, don't go into court, because the minute you answer a summons, you are the dead thing, you are the Roman citizen. And now everybody that's on the USCC list has been found dead, thanks to the St. Joseph Board of Commissioners, which is funny. So, and that's another neat thing about what we're doing. We're only the ones that evidence these things, and we brought everything forth in Revelation. And but man, David Chappelle, Andrew Stewart, and now Board of Commissioners here has rung everybody in. They rung the whole United States Incorporated into the chute.
How can the Superior Court have that kind of authority to do that?
And that's the neatest thing about the dragon in Revelation. The dragon delegates his authority to others, and that's how he loses. And that's exactly what.
Okay, because they're a franchise.
Absolutely.
Notice to principal is notice to agent is notice to principal, and vice versa.
Absolutely, and these judges were given all that authority, and they couldn't come in and argue anything. They also couldn't come in and overrule us at any point in time, and that's exactly as it's written in Revelation. The dragon delegates his authority to another. That other shits the bed, and then it's all over. Babel's fallen. So,
shits the bed. That always cracks me up. Sorry.
Sorry, that's about the only description I can think of because
that's it perfectly.
But man, what a ride! What a ride!
Yeah, what a ride indeed. It's hard to contemplate and really wrap your mind around it, I guess, because we're so used to seeing visual things, and if we don't see it on TV or if we don't see it, in tangible, three-dimensional form, our minds can't. We just don't want to grasp it because, I guess, of our programming and the way we have been programmed to respond and to believe things to be true. So, watching this play out. these psychopaths and their, I was just thinking about Bo's call last night and the kitty that the banker killed.
Yep.
For what purpose? For what fucking purpose?
Terrorism. We went over there, and the cat was killed. It was all bloody outside of one of the windows, outside of the home. And we had left to take a load to another location, and in between, the Coldwell banker had called me, and he says, well, I'm here at the house. Do I need to lock up? And I said, no, don't lock up. I've only got the crew for the night. And so he left, and then when we went back over there now, the cat was in a plastic garbage bag out by the road. So the whole purpose of that was for terrorism. It was intended for us to find the cat. And the first time I didn't notice that, I didn't tell him that we'd noticed the cat over the phone. And so the second time, he had made sure that we would notice it by putting it into a plastic garbage bag and setting it out by where we parked our cars. So that whole intention was the action of terrorism. That's an engagement for any number of things, including PTSD, where shock doctrine, the value of shock doctrine upon the female normally is that she runs off and she needs medication from the doctor, or she runs off and she's diagnosed or whatever else because of the trauma that's been implicated. But as you know, I don't contract with the state, and this has happened to me before. When I went up against Stevens County in Washington State, the good old sheriff out there turned my daughter's dog inside out. He gutted it and left it out there for her to find, and thankfully she didn't find it. I found it, and but the whole idea behind that is to traumatize whoever the intended victim is or the intended target is.
See, for those who don't believe that this is real, this has happened before. This isn't just, some made-up scenario. These things are so horrifying that we can't contemplate or believe that a human being is capable of this, and that's what a psychopath is not, a human being. There's, missing parts.
Right, and most people have experienced this. They just don't realize why they've experienced this. Most people have come home to find their dog dead, to find their cat poisoned by whatever, find their dog poisoned by antifreeze, and all of a sudden there's a bottle of antifreeze that's there and it spilled over, but they didn't leave it there. They didn't put it there, but they'll blame themselves and believe that they did for years and years and years, thinking they killed their own pet on accident, when in reality they did not leave that bottle open. We're not stupid. We're not stupid beings. We don't do those things. We're fully aware of our pets and our surroundings. We do not leave open bottles of antifreeze tipped over and rat poison, left out for our own pets to get. These things do not occur. They're intended to traumatize you. You just don't realize at the time that somebody's acting against you is all. You find your pets in weird locations around your property, head stuck in fences or whatever else. It's not your pet. Your pet doesn't stick its head through a fence. Whiskers on the cat. Tell the cat, okay, there's this amount of space. I only put my head through this amount of space because the rest of me is going to fit.
Yeah, that's their sensors, yeah.
Right, that's what their whiskers are. It tells them how big a space is, and they're not going to, you will never find your cat in a hole somewhere stuck there because they don't do that. They're not stupid. They're not stupid, and dogs aren't stupid. We're not stupid. These things are implicated against us to perpetrate the action of terrorism, domestic terrorism upon you. It is for the traumatic effect that you will engage or interact with the system. You find your dog that are weird things, you're going to call the police and things like that. That's engaging. That's contracting with the state. You're asking another daddy to protect you. And that's how they generate money. These things, crimes and house robberies, burglaries, whatever else, the reason you're not seeing them happen is because this is the cops doing it. They know when you go to work. They know when you come home. They have lock-picking sets. They know how to get in your house. But they need to generate that revenue. So they're going to break in. They're going to steal your shit. They're going to take whatever. And then they're going to point at somebody else that you know or you've had an altercation with in the past or whatever else because you already hate that individual. You already are upset at that individual, so you believe what you're being told. And this
just another way to endure.
Right. This is all part of the game, and we need to get out of the game, stop engaging, stop contracting with them, get them out of your neighborhood. If you see cop cars, get them out of your neighborhood. If you see, a bunch of return places, get them out of your neighborhood. You got to get rid of this parasitic culture. I mean, it's
just like the 911. September 11th, 9/11, 911 is a Masonic number, and it's so connected. When you start looking into this, it's just like, wow, how much more blatant could it be? Sandy Hook, all of their false flags, all of their terrorist acts are done on these dates. Dialing 911. It's like you're just asking for trouble.
Absolutely. And, again, it can be used another way, too. 911 and these informant hotlines, they're for information purposes. So stop informing on your neighbor. It's so terrifying what they're actually doing, and we got to watch out for each other. You'll find if you're watching the neighborhood and you leave it out of the hands of a coalition or a program or anything else, and you're actually watching you and your other neighbors, you'll find that the crime rate will go down exponentially because the police cannot get in there. You're watching, you're wary. When you're in a coalition or in one of these neighborhood watch programs or something, you're making the police aware of when you're gone. You're making the police aware of all of your activity. And if you do get hit, they know exactly when to hit your neighborhood. So get out of those programs. Do it yourself. Stop entering into contract with them. Stop letting them know when you're home, when you're away. For God's sake, stop calling the police and telling them, I'm going to Hawaii for 2 weeks. Please watch my house, because you're guaranteeing that your house is going to be robbed or burned down in your absence. And these things are not accidents, and that's what happens most often. You hear it in the media. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith went on their honeymoon and came back and their house was burned down. What kind of life is this? Oh my goodness, what a coincidence. No, it's not. You reported by the announcement in the paper that you're getting married and you're going to Hawaii and everything else. The cops came in and they hit your house. They burned it down for you to collect it on the insurance. Now you got to quit this shit. Quit registering. Quit telling them when you're gone, when you're home. And stop adhering to their time frame. It was Wilson who did this daylight savings shit. It was to make you more productive and to allow you to be so predictable. You get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. You get home at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You do this on the weekends. You do this on the weekdays. You do this and this and this. Your whole life is predictable. You are very, very predictable. And part of that is the ability to use you in any manner they see fit because of your predictability. You don't do anything outside of the box. You get up at a certain time. You go to bed at a certain time. You're at work. You come home at a certain time. You go to these sports functions. You do this and this, and you like this. And it's not only that. You're going into the store and you're buying out all these things with a UPC code. You're going into the store and you're using a credit card. Every moment, every second of your life is documented for these folks. And this is how these, quote, coincidences are happening to you. These are not coincidences. They know exactly where you are at any given moment in time. They don't need audio and video surveillance. You're registering yourself.
Yep.
And because of this, they can use you for anything they want to use you for, and you got to get out of this. Don't be predictable.
Yeah, and with the internet too, and social networking, you tell even more about yourself usually.
Absolutely. And it's every given moment of your life is predictable. Get out of that box, and you'll find that these coincidences don't happen anymore. You're free. The minute you walk away from this shit, you are absolutely free, and you can breathe easier. You're no longer registered. You no longer have these happen chance things happen to you. Your car doesn't break down. Your bones don't break. I mean, they can shoot you with this Tesla and make you fall down. That's the first question out of their mouths when you fall down and you hurt your. When I sprained both my ankles last time, and this has happened to me a couple times now. The first thing out of their mouths was, "Did you forget anything?" And I'm like, "No." Did you hit your head? No. I know exactly what you did to me because I felt the energy just before I fell. I wasn't even walking anywhere. It was like I tripped over my own 2 feet. We're not stupid. This is electronic influence upon us. And
we have a caller if you want to take her now. Sarah?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mike is hot.
Hello.
Sarah?
Hi, how are you?
Absolutely.
Good. You might have to turn your radio down.
Yes, I just switched it off now. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
Here.
It's nice to hear you call in.
Thank you. I was just recently served. My husband and I, we've been having marriage problems, shall we say, and, it's just things aren't working properly, and we've grown apart, and we've been together, married 3 years, have been together since '04, so like about 9 years now, and we have a two-year-old, and before the whole divorce papers came along, before I got served, we were talking about what it is that we exactly want to do. We had agreed that, I let him know that I'm not interested in any kind of alimony. I'm not interested in any kind of child support. He can have it for half the year, and I'll have it for the other half of the year. 50-50 custody. He can take everything. I'm just going to go ahead and spend time with family for at least the first year with the little one when I have her. And he didn't seem to be very happy with any of this. After a few weeks, after discussing and agreeing with it, in writing and verbally. And he decided he'd rather just serve me and have the law step in between us and contract with an attorney, and is now expecting me to contract into the situation as well. And I have no interest in contracting with anybody. No liars, no thank you.
Right.
Any suggestions?
So, yes, get with us. We need to probably start the evidentiary process to indict the attorney that's poking on him. And it's most likely that your soon-to-be ex has something going on emotionally or mentally, allowing the attorney to poke on him and push him into something else. Because normally, the male logical mind is equal, 50-50, whatever. But we need to start it before it stops, start evidencing. And because he has an attorney, when you have the child, make sure that you are video and audio taping all of your visits and all of your pickup and drop-offs, because this will make it less likely that they can falsely accuse you of something.
Yes, that would be a good idea. Yeah, personally, I would prefer that he just doesn't come around to the house or stay, outside of the house, because the other party does seem a little bit off in their behavior. It's very uncomfortable having them around, and it's not easy. So, yes, that would be a good thing to do, to video and audio, definitely.
Absolutely, and make sure, especially when it's acrimonious and created by the attorney, that's who's pushing him. Usually there's some form of ownership there. The individual that is being able to be puppeted by the attorney has some form of ownership over you or the child. So you need to document these things and make sure that we have it, documented so that you can show by the evidence that, this is what's going on and this is harmful to the child or whatever else we need to do, but make sure that you're documenting everything.
Yes, definitely. Another thing that I'm concerned about, too, is that the other party wants to have full physical custody of the child, which I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with them having, because to me it's just a document. It doesn't mean anything to me, a piece of paper. But I do have a problem that, again, contracting with a lawyer, contracting, I feel like this should be something between him and myself, and I don't need another party in the middle of all of this.
It's already
right.
happening.
And that's why you use the evidence. You need to limit what damage that attorney can do, because you're assumed to be act has already engaged the attorney. What we'll work on is limiting the damage that can occur because of the attorney. And just get with us on Skype. My Skype name is
She's already in the room.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, and I'll be back as soon as possible. I've just not had access to the internet, and then, but that'll change shortly here. Things are in a mix here, so as soon as I'm back on. But do start documenting every time you see the child, pickups, drop-off. Make sure that you can't be falsely accused of child abuse, child molestation, whatever else they're going to throw at you, because the attorneys, they're actually quite vicious, and they can put pressure on him to make him do anything. And if he's a beneficiary, he's going to go ahead and do that. And that, normally, we see this in the reverse. The female is the one who's with the attorney and being puppeted, but it does occur. I mean, you're involved in it right now, and so you're experiencing this firsthand. But do document to limit the possibility of them falsely accusing you of anything. And that way, if they do, you have the evidence on hand. And make sure you're documenting by date. Even the littlest things, when you go into the store and you buy anything, keep that receipt to show that you were there at that time and place and you were not elsewhere, some other time and place where they're falsely accusing you.
So then, is there a way for me not to be involved in this whole fiasco? I mean, if I can completely stay out of the court system and the signing of documents, because the thing is that, the minute I sign my name on a document, I've brought myself back into the system again, and the whole objective to me is to stay out of the system. And I would love to, I don't know what exactly my little 2-year-old, what exactly they could possibly do to her if I, don't take any kind of action. Because you were just talking about that earlier, about what they've been doing to the children, and I'm fully aware of that as well. And it is a concern of mine. But I don't want to drag myself into it and trap myself into that situation.
Right.
I'm not interested in playing their games.
Right. And normally, what you have to wait for is you have the original petition, and then it starts changing, or there's false language or fraud that's perpetrated, and at that point in time, you can do the void ab initio, which takes it back to the beginning where the first original petition is, and you can keep it at that point in time, and then the 50-50 aspect cannot change. But the only time that you can use the void ab initio is if there's fraud implicated in between the original petition and where you're at now. And then you can, but you can always force them to toe the line. You can always use the void ab initio back to this point in time, and it doesn't have to be all the way to the beginning. It can be to a certain point in time, wherever that point in time is when they start facilitating the fraud.
I see. Okay, I'm going to catch you guys up right now on online here, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you both. Thank you.
Love you.
Nice hearing from you. I'll meet you back out. Okay. Child custody cases and attorneys.
Yep, and the attorney, they filed this, and, nobody even realizes. Here comes an attorney with interest. Question what that means. They're coming in with interest in the estate. Issues means children, descendants. Matter is you. It's just a subject matter. And subject matter is one subject to the Constitution, subject to the laws, and whatever they're going to implement. You are subject matter, and you got to get out of being there. And sadly, he had assigned the estate, so she's got to at least go through as much as the void ab initio, because originally the original petition says 50-50, no domestic violence, no other issues ongoing at this time, and so you always stand on that original petition. Why is he changing his mind now? Between then and now, I've never seen him he's never witnessed me and the child or whatever else, but between then and now, what's changed, and then especially if you're documenting audio and video, when the false allegations come in, you have that documentation to show, hey, this is the date you're claiming that I did this. Well, here's where I was. Here's what the children looked like. There's no bruising on them or whatever else. They're not screaming out, and so you just got to stand on that evidence, admit that on the evidence, and hold him accountable for false allegations, or hold her accountable for the false allegations.
Isn't it typical for one to go after full physical custody so they don't have to pay child support?
Well, not normally. Usually they do it because there's a control factor there. I mean, a lot of these individuals, they make
well, yeah, that too.
Yeah, they own the child and they own the female, or they own the male and the child, and that control factor, they're going to fight for it, like the story of King Solomon. The two horses went up in Solomon, and one of them had lost their baby, but that female had owned that baby. It was hers as property, so therefore she replaced it with another baby and just took somebody else's baby as a piece of property. Normally humans grieve, and you cannot replace your child. If you lose a child or you lose a loved one, it can't be replaced by an object or something objectified. And this is the constant theatric, is that story of the King Solomon and the two whores. And that metaphor was trying to teach us something. Don't own. That is fornication. That is what establishes and maintains the Medea complex. Here you have Medea. It's an old story from 453 BC. Euripides wrote a play called Medea, and Jason, her husband, was having an affair on her with another woman, and so she killed his children to get back at him. And those children to her were just objects. They were just things.
Yeah. The women who say, I brought you into this world and I can take you out, as sort of a threat throughout kids' lives, and they laugh about it, that's a real sick thing, too.
And that's ownership, and it all comes down to those titles. To be entitled, you have to own something. To be with the title of mother, you're owning the children. Now, the concept is there always. The word mother is always there, but in reality, in normal human existence, I'm always questioning whether or not I'm a good mother. I'm always questioning if, I'm doing this. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And there's times when, the girls have been sick, and I feel like my hands are tied, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just so horrified, and I don't know what to do, because, the length of time between the first moment they're ill and the last moment they're ill is just all torture, and we want it to be over, and we want them to be better, and we're feeling, oh my gosh, I'm not doing this right, I'm not doing good enough, I feel not better, it's been 6 hours, and, and that's natural. We always feel like we're not good enough, and that's great. That's how we're supposed to feel in a natural sense, in that, just being, we're learning as we go along. I
think some of that insecurity, though, is because the system pushes all of their medical machinery, the industry, on us, and that if you don't do what some guy in a white coat says, and you're really not doing the best thing and stuff, when there are times when some other, an alternative method that isn't chemical, it will actually help, or just, love, tender care, and keeping your baby, warm or whatever. We've been taught to not listen to ourselves in every area, that we need a fucking expert, one of their fucking experts from some industry, to take us through the friggin' court process, to take us through the education process, to take us through the health process. It's all been rigged. So in a lot of ways, I think we really need to get back to listening to our gut and our conscience, and, not always throwing what we're feeling, out the window. Learn to be.
Absolutely. And,
Dogs and cats know how to take care of their babies. You know,
yep.
I mean,
Birds,
our body can do a lot of its own healing too.
Yep. And you know, it gets even better if you're not eating what they tell you to eat. You know, and feeding your children.
Sure.
What the FDA tells you to feed your children, and you know, you'll see 100% improvement over your child in the very beginnings when you pull them out of public school. They're eating stuff brought to you by the USDA. This is for the implication of soma theory to keep your baby sleepy, and they give them enough sugar so they're going to get really high really quick, and they're going to come down really hard, and you're going to have all these different behaviors that you're observing. This is created by what they're ingesting, you know, and then they have other forces on them as well. They're being bullied. They're being picked on by their female teachers. They're being picked on by their female principal or whatever's happening. But you'll see 100% turnaround when you pull your children out of public schooling to begin with, you know, and you start the deprogramming process. This is reality, honey. This is what actually happens. You know, and you're going to go through a lot of stuff, but it's well worth the effort. It's well worth you saving your children. It's well worth you parenting. You are the authority. You are the expert. Not one of us. I mean, and I tell people this all the time. I have 2 children. My oldest, it's always a brand new day. It's always a brand new experience for me to be a parent of my oldest. I've never been a parent before that day before. You know, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize. You know, I can be a parent forever, but every day is a brand new day of being a parent for my oldest. And so everything's going to be new, and I'm always going to have all these surprises, and I'm always going to have this. And even with a second child, you know, I've got all sorts of surprises all the time, you know, and you're the expert. This is you. This is reality. This is living. This is actually parenting, and it's not what you see in the media. It's not what they tell you. It's not how you've been conditioned. Just step away from that. You don't need that. You know, and any other biology, it's by instinct that we parent. We're the only biology that actually listens to all this shit. And
that's just to socialize you, to make you a good little worker bee that doesn't, they crush your creativity, they crush your individuality. It's not too unlike the military in many ways, because they ridicule you. You're put into a situation to, you know, read aloud, to where they make it so uncomfortable for kids that they don't want to read again. It's all deterrent. And then they those history books and the Rand McNally programming, the way that the so-called winners have written history, it's all total lies anyway, and your kid one day is going to find that out. So, you know, why introduce them to Santa Claus? I mean, just get to the point, you know. They'll be that much more ahead.
Absolutely.
Take them out of the bully system. I mean, the last thing that happened with my son, who is now out of school and everything, it was I think it was the first week of sophomore year. There was a dance, and all these kids were drunk and throwing up, and there was a big scene, and the police were called, and my son was questioned, and all this crap. And so, you know, I mean, he didn't do anything. He just happened to see what was going on and stuff. But, man, they put these kids against the wall and through this whole thing. We just got him out, and he did his work from home and, you know, checked in once a week. The teacher couldn't care less. She just checked it off. So he got his stupid little, you know, diploma a year and a half earlier, because then he didn't go through all the drama and all the, what he really couldn't stand was all the drama going on all the time, you know. You just wanted to get to the point.
Right.
If you don't want your kids to be exposed to all this, you know, the stuff that's out there, I mean, choose where they're exposed.
Absolutely. And let them be what they're going to be. And that's one of the most profound things that you know, I myself, I love to witness is both girls are so disparate in their ways of thinking and what they want to be or what they are. And, you know, poor Aisha, you know, she's 7 years old, you know, a few years ago, and she's studying sociology. She doesn't even realize that she's a little sociologist. but that's what she enjoys, is sociology, studying people, studying all sorts of things. And then she went into herbology and alternative medicines and everything else. And here she's 9 now, and recently I pulled up a syllabus for Stanford sociology department, and she was so upset at me. She's like, Mom, well, she's 10 now, not 9. She says, Mom, I'm only 10. I can't be doing that. And I'm like, you already are. And it was such a shocker to her because of the social implications on her. All these little things, she doesn't even realize. And I had to laugh because it's just adorable. She's like, Mom, I'm only 10. But, well, you've spoken to her. She's so profound in her education, and she really loves what she does. And what's happening in public school is they're stifling our children to the extent that it's sick. They're keeping them at 9, 5, 9, 14-year-old mentalities when in reality, just let them be. And I don't think she's ever read a children's book until like the last year or so. She's been reading kids' books when she wants to relax, and before that, she's been involved in studying and everything else, and now that she has an opinion, now that she has, she's finding herself, and she knows what she wants, and that's what it has to be. They don't need to be stifled with public school. They don't need to be hammered and pressed on and just put down. I mean, they're keeping them the way that they need to keep them as their productive members of society. And if we're going along with it, we're consenting to this. We don't want our children to be productive. We don't want them to be
part of the system, and those are the jobs that are available now. So they're trying to gear the young to go into the industries that are available now, which are the Syngentas, Monsantos, the, corporations that are doing this to us, and into various Wall Street and, wherever this stuff is at. They're think about all the people 50 and over, and I keep hitting that because it's really prevalent, but nobody really hears about it. They can't get a job now. It's been, 4 years for some of them. And they worked their entire life in the career that they were pushed into because that was the one that was going to be secure and help them with, keep their family afloat. So they get thrown out, and had they had the space and time to develop, their own passions and interests, they would have something to fall back on now. They would have an actual, path where they could, trade and share and interact, but all focus was on the corporation who shit-canned them when it was no longer financially expedient for them.
Right.
So that's the same with us. We're being crushed. That's the same way. Told that your value, whatever you know, if there's not a degree attached to it, then, it's really worth shit. And that's a total lie.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. If they pull your medical license, are you still a doctor? Yes. If they pull your dental license, are you still a dentist? Yes. They did not take away your brain. If you don't have a degree for sociology, but you're a sociologist, you're a sociologist. If you don't have a degree for psychology, but you know psychology, you're a psychologist. If you don't have a degree for teaching, but you're teaching, you're a teacher. But
if you happen to kill somebody as a doctor by overdosing them on some sort of an IV drug, then you've got a problem. There's something that needs to be fixed, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, take that knowledge into a different arena away from the chemical.
Right, and that's the flip side. A pedophile priest is not a priest. They're not adhering to the Book of God. And a judge is not a judge if they're acting as an attorney. But the same goes in vice versa always. If you are teaching, you're a teacher.
Your actions.
Yes, you are known by your works and actions, and that's what Jesus said. And
you can say whatever you want to say, but whatever you're doing is what you're doing, and that's the truth.
Absolutely, and that's your title. That is your absolute title. If you're walking as God, you're God. If you're walking as Jesus, you're Jesus.
So for all you folks out there who don't know what you are, haven't figured out what you want to be when you grow up, that's good, because you probably picked up a lot of information on various important things, and those things can be contributed, when the time comes. You'll know. You just speak it out.
Absolutely.
In our rooms, we have a lot of people who understand alternative, the supplements and herbs and various aspects of pH and things, and they just chime in when somebody's got something going on, and it's, it's great.
Right. And it's required. We've been taught to seek all these titles and degrees and licenses and everything else, but you already are. And everybody needs to start behaving as such. Be. You already are. You're known for your works and actions. And that's to your benefit, that's to their downfall. And, I invite everybody to look at these cases. Northern District, Indiana, U.S. District Court, 3:13 EV052. And what you'll find is that, that's what we're evidencing. You are known for your works and actions. We warned them. We said, hey, you're privateering. You are human trafficking. You are kidnapping. This is how you're doing it. And they continue to do it. You are known for your works and actions. So what is your title? You're a kidnapper. You're a human trafficker. You are known for your works and actions. I gave the judge a motion to produce title or quit. The judge came back as an attorney, and he produced a title. He is an attorney. All of his orders and everything else are now void because he only has an attorney title. An attorney cannot make a lawful decision. They cannot make an order. And this is what it comes down to. You are known for your works and actions. Just be. And, this is the epitome of what Jesus was trying to explain. Just be. Just be. Everything will work out. When you're being, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not harming anybody. When they're known for their works and actions. They are kidnappers. They are human traffickers. They are rapists. They are pedophiles. Let them do. They're evidencing their crimes each and every day. Evidence that. Reveal it on record and hold them accountable.
On the flip side, someone brought up in the room to talk about how a citizen owes its allegiance to governing authority and is subject of the laws and duties imposed upon it.
Right.
If you're wherever you're a citizen.
Yeah, and that's what the resident is. A res is the thing. That's how you become a thing. You are subscribing or underwriting yourself to be the thing. You're consenting to being the thing. And our whole process is not being a thing. You are not a thing. You're a state of being. You are the most profound state of being. You're omnipresent. You are God.
That's why we only have temporary post locations.
Absolutely. We don't have a placement. And that's what Jesus kept telling us. I have no place to lay my head, he said. And he always had a place to be. Everybody took him in. And he had some experiences where, they didn't take him in or they didn't hear him or whatever. He said, okay, just walk on. Dust off the dust from your feet and walk on. You just go somewhere else. Do what you are or be what you are somewhere else. You don't need to be surrounded by hell. You don't need to be surrounded by people subjugating you or making you feel inferior or not adhering to the Word of God or whatever else. Just walk on. Our only requirement is to be. And he said, don't waste your time. You don't want to waste any time with swine, and that's exactly what he called them. He called them swine, and he says, don't cast your pearls to swine. You can try to teach them, but if they're not willing to listen to the Word or to act according to God, and they're still seeking to be within evil and psychopathy and everything else, don't cast your pearls to them. Your pearls are the words out of your mouth, your works and actions, your beautiful being. There you are, you're just so profoundly amazing and beautiful, walking through life, being a human being in all your glory, and here's all these people just sucking you dry. Walk on. Get away from them. Let the dead bury their own dead.
The thing I've noticed a lot recently is, for a long time, but really most recently, when people want to race in and just throw down, the documents because they feel this pressure. There's some date and a summons and a ticking of the clock and a threat over their head. We are so programmed to respond to this machine, the fear impulses, and, if I don't, this will happen. What if? That, to me, is a big part of the being. And, meditation, and I'm going to just keep saying this, meditation may seem like navel gazing to some people, just looking at your navel and wasting time, but whenever you turn everything off and turn in and just silence, stuff is happening. Stuff is happening that you can't see. Besides, in the brain, there are answers in there. We are infinite beings. We really are the expression of God or the source or the all in human form. All of us comprise. So the more, you stay embroiled in the panic and the television and all its bullshit and all the housewives and all the, stuff all around, you get away from who you really are, further and further and further, until it just seems like too much of a pain in the ass to spend 15 minutes in silence. Turning off the electronics and all the impulses that are going into your body that you can't see. I just think everybody needs to ground themselves every day, go step into the dirt, barefooted, just for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, whatever you can. Cats and dogs do it. They go out and roll on their backs. Have you ever watched that?
Absolutely.
They're discharging the electricity from their body, the charges.
And they're enjoying it. Lay on the ground.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Get some sun, whatever the contrails are allowing to come through. Go get some sun, some vitamin D, and just the rays itself, and throw some more veggies on your plates. Just some basic things, but spend 5, 10, 15 minutes, 30 if you can handle it, a day, and center and get yourself, tuned into the universal channel so that when you're out in the rest of this crap, you can know how to, swat some of that stuff away and get better and better at putting that fear to rest and shutting up that external, chatter that comes at you and starts the tapes rolling in your consciousness.
Absolutely. Just be. I mean, it's so beautiful to just relax, and you're not. That's something that we've been taught as well, and part of the indoctrination is that everybody's stealing time. Get out of time. Get out of time. Stop adhering to all this time construct. You are not stealing time. I can't tell you how many times I get a call from any number of people. It doesn't matter who it is. They'll call me and they'll apologize for taking my time. Why are you doing this? We're in the same time together. I'm here, too, at the same instant and moment that you are. You're not stealing any time from me. You're not borrowing anything from me. You're not doing anything. We're just being. And everybody needs to get out of that construct of time. Stop adhering to their construct of bullshit after bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. Get out of it. If you're not tired at night and you need to take an Ambien and a whole bunch of other shit to sleep, that means you probably don't sleep at night. You probably need to start sleeping whenever your body feels tired. You don't need to be making your body tired and forcing it into all these. It's like putting a round peg in a square hole or a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to happen. You're going to make yourself sick.
Yeah, you will. You have to go discharge some of that, some of the signal and energy that's being bombarded into you. And if you haven't actually, moved your body to get some of that energy out, that's really the best thing you can do.
Absolutely. And we're talking about construct. Stop eating as a presentation. I just now experienced that again, and I'm so tired of experiencing that. During the time when we were in influx, we were with, other people, and everything's a presentation. Cooking is a presentation. It's a means of expressing love or whatever else or whatever somebody got in their head. But we don't need to eat that much. Stop eating as much as you're eating. Stop presenting everything. I know that one night I was invited to make baklava with somebody, and it was all presentation, and it was a beautiful dish. We ended up with a beautiful dish, but eating is not a presentation. We need to eat to live, not live to eat.
We got totally programmed by those huge freaking helpings that they started shoving in front of you, these mass potato things, and, just eat until you bust.
Yep, and present. We went through a holiday this time, and, of course, it's absolutely disgusting, Easter being so perverted as it has been. We had to put on the whole spread, and it's like it takes 6 to 8 hours to do the whole spread and 15 minutes to eat it. And
when you mean presentation, are you saying like the traditional, in other words, if it's Thanksgiving, because it's always been this way, you always have to lay out like 12 different dishes, and there are certain ones because that's what your family does, and then, this is your gift to the house, and then people come in and just wipe it out real quick, and it's over, and then you're cleaning dishes.
Right, and you're using all your crystal and your china and different forks for this and different utensils for this and everything else. This civility, it's all a construct.
Well, some people have those are special occasions, and to some people, those are the little touch points in life. I know that they are social constructs, but I think so many times families have gotten so busy running around they don't spend any time together, hardly at all. So it's kind of one of the reasons to force them into it.
Right.
You will sit down and you will eat, damn it.
Right. And that's something that's so horrifying, because every day is that special occasion. Every day that you're being is another beautiful day, and the light shines on you because you're being. That is the most special day. That is your birthday again. It's
all you have.
Day.
Today is all you have. This moment is all you have.
Absolutely, and this moment is so beautiful and profound, and every moment is like that. And, stop adhering to their constructs. And we look at the expense of eating raw and vegan like we do now, get back into it and eating well and everything. If you eat well, it takes less to eat well. So really the expense is not as bad as you're assuming. And, cut out all this bullshit presentation stuff, because,
Hey, if people want to present it on the china and all that stuff, throw some chard and greens and stuff out there. Right.
Make your seeds look pretty. My blobs and whatever probably don't look very appealing at all, but, because I love my seeds and yogurt and things like that. But it's good for me, and it's a celebration of life, and I was going to do this, too, and I have to stop here, and I have to advertise for Taco Bell, because this last week we were in such a hurry. We were in such a hurry, and we were late. Everything else was closed except for Taco Bell, so we grabbed tacos, and I got a chicken soft taco, and I spent 3 days sick as a dog again. But the funniest thing is, okay, I see all these presentations. They use fresh veggies, whatever else. So I start calling around, and everybody's wondering where I'm at, and they're calling me, and I'm like, yeah, I have Taco Bell. And they're like, I don't eat there. Don't eat there. That's poison. Everybody told me that they've been sick thanks to Taco Bell. So I'd like to give a shout-out to Taco Bell and to everybody that's considering eating Taco Bell. It is absolutely poison. It is gross. It made me so sick, and there's not one person that I've spoken to that told me anything good about Taco Bell. So why is it even on
Taco Bell?
Oh, it's sick.
You can't on Taco Bell.
Oh, and I was so sick. See, I don't, you know me, I don't normally go to fast food at all, and so I'm not aware of the, fast food etiquette or whatever else, but in that place, yeah.
You're not up on whether there's horse meat or whatever, the latest word on the fast food places. Oh, my God.
Just 3 days, and then it's like food shouldn't be like that, and everybody that I talk to also has been sick, and and they'll laugh about it. They say, well, we run there after we're drinking or whatever else, and it always kills me too. But, okay, why are we eating that? That's just sick.
It's because of their hot sauce or some additive, just the same way they do to chips and stuff today. You ever look at those Doritos that have this, it's like friggin', I don't even know what color red that is, but it's artificial for sure. And it has these little crystal things on it that if you put that to your tongue, it just lights your taste buds up. They're like, it's a chemical thing. So these are neurochemicals and excitotoxins that they're adding to food to make you come back to their brand.
Absolutely. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, these things that shouldn't be occurring. If something makes you so sick, it is poison. That is poison for your body.
Well, they were just coming out today about corn, how bad it actually is, and that not only is there almost zero nutrients in it, practically no nutrients. It's loaded with chemical poisons. You can almost not find non-GMO corn. You really have to look out for it. You really have to look for something that says it's non-GMO. And, even Trader Joe's and stuff, you can't find that stuff there. It's GMO. It's like 80 or 90% of all corn is that now.
Yeah, and it's on breading. It's on every consumer product.
That's the scariest part. The components of other stuff. That's why if you get packaged food or processed food, you really don't know.
Hey, guys.
Right.
I don't mean to jump in here. We got Karen wants to come in on the call. And just to let you guys know, at 9 o'clock I have my webinar to do. However, that doesn't mean to say you guys can't roll past the hour, because I can actually exit the call and you can continue on. And Pat, you've still got the board, so the call keeps going until the episode is ended. So, yes, if you guys Karen wanted to get in here, and I know it's probably about food and
okay.
That. So I'll open up her line for
Karen
you.
in.
All right, love you.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm here till the top of the hour, baby. You can't get rid of me.
Karen, you're live.
Karen, are you there? Karen, your mic is open. You got to unmute. Make sure. Yeah, she just tagged me. Just emailed me.
That's what happened last time when I unmuted. So I don't know.
Okay, one of the listeners just emailed me to talk here and join in. Okay, Karen, your mic's hot. Your mic is hot. Okay. Yep, it's hot. So I'll just leave it open. I guess it might be muted on her end, or there may be a technical difficulty. But yeah, because I know you guys went down the list and asked everybody, and
I did.
Yeah. So it's probably been a technical glitch as to why she couldn't get on. So Karen,
Hi. Do we
there
have
you are. Okay.
Houston, we have no problems anymore.
Yeah, gotta love that ayahuasca. Oh yeah, it's all good.
Oh my gosh. How are you guys doing this evening?
Good.
Good.
Excellent. Yeah, I just wanted to come in and just add a few things, if we may. I guess some of the stuff we've been talking about, one is in the food end. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we do a lot of the raw foods, and we're pursuing things from a international law point of view, also to do with clan mothers, as opposed to being in the second world, what they call de facto. Saskatoon and all that stuff we found is basically kind of like a red herring. But my love or passion is actually the food, and so that's what we're all doing, is actually protecting the water and getting things into place, seeing as it's actually more important really in some aspects than the food itself. And we're actually in Calgary tonight, and for the next 2 weeks we'll be attending the SEED event, and actually we're seeing people here for free sessions because we're outside the commerce game. And so we do everything by gifting. So may we thank you for being there, and that we always help each other freely and benevolently and share our gifts in peace, love, and unity without commerce. How does that sound? We all do it in love. How's that?
Awesome.
Works for me.
Good. So, yeah, we're going to actually stay here in Calgary and, as I said, see people. There's a huge thing called the SEED event. So David Wolf will be coming in, people like Sherry Strong. Myself will be in here. Amit Gosman will be in. Cici Raven. So some of the top people actually internationally in the field are coming in for health and abundance and how we can do things in a creative way, looking back to original international tribal, which is actually called clan law, which supersedes actually the queen and stuff like that. So part of what we're doing is setting up areas as well where we can get the food and the water protected and outside the jurisdiction. So we ran our own integrative medical center for years and years. And, in fact, we'll be going up to Edmonton to Nourish as well to start teaching people to, all right, we don't teach, we actually share some of our recipes. And so there are very intricate things to getting the health back very quickly, and one of them is shifting the pH immediately. So we've got people right now getting either whether water systems are hanging or getting the fluoride out, getting on baking soda immediately, even a quarter to half a teaspoon a day is starting to shift people within days.
Yeah, we've been talking about that amongst ourselves a lot of people are real aware of that now.
Yeah, we've got stuff in actually Nelson being set up in Calgary, so it's not a matter of talking, we're actually doing it.
Well, we're doing it too. I don't think you have to go to Calgary to do it.
No, I'm just saying, where we're actually setting up these different areas off the grid, and people are growing the gardens, getting the heritage heirloom seeds, and getting themselves. So it's all about people getting into balance, and talking back. Once we do that, it's also like the twin rays and coming back to that, balance ourselves, right?
Well, so you have a place where people move to or go to or
I'm not
part
sure.
in, like communal, or what exactly?
Okay. Well, are you aware of what actually international laws, custom usages are? Do you have any background in that?
I don't know anything about international laws other than codex.
Okay.
I've been a proponent for a very long time, fighting against codex.
Well, we don't need to actually fight. This is the whole thing.
That was before when I was a citizen.
Well, again, citizens are what they're classified in Second World, and there's an entire.
Second World stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, a citizen is actually someone that's got citizenship and has done treaties or whatever, and they're classified as what's called the Second World. So whether you're in the private or public, there are actually treaties that exist with citizenship that most people are unaware of. So that's something we could actually send to you. We put them out on Facebook, actually, called Universal Laws Meredith Quinn, but there's a whole section on what happened in the classifications of people. And there was a dormant or a hidden law, somewhat occult, with this First World law, and how people, especially women, once they're actually practicing and living, not talking about, but actually living, doing universal law, that they're off the system, no commerce, that sort of thing. They are gifted the information to go back and do reclamation of basically crown land. So do we have land? Yes, because we have title to the crown land.
Okay, now with the reclamation, how is that being facilitated?
The facilitation is done once people have done their home study, so to speak. You've got to have certain things, obviously, to qualify, because a clan mother technically in law supersedes the queen. So,
there.
Yeah.
Stop there. Okay, now you're requiring your students to qualify to get off of this system?
Okay, you're not getting the concept. Is that each and every one can do it. We do not have students. It's not about masters or students. This is an open sharing or talking circle is how we do this. Okay?
Wait.
So we don't run schools. Okay?
Right.
We don't run land. So people have to be self-sustaining. Yeah.
I'm going to stop you there again. And you had said that they have to qualify. Now, you are requiring qualification to be a human?
Well, we wouldn't want to be a human. A human's defined in international law as a monster, so that would not want to be a human. So that's where these classifications...
That was not defined in international law. It was a definition created by attorneys, and that was in Valentine's Law Dictionary. Attorney defined a human as a monster or something against the attorney, which is a foreign entity. Now, I need you to answer that question about the qualifications, please.
As I said, right, if you were listening, that in the thing that each individual, man or woman, but the women to do the reclamation would have to be practicing different things. There's a whole slew of books to go through, and they would have to be basically having language of the land. You'd have to have the original
what you're teaching is a religion? Is this a religion like Scientology or something?
This is not a religion. This actually sits on the law books. These are international treaty laws that allow women to start doing land reclamation and getting off the system. But in order to do so, which we could send you the information. So what would happen is you'd have to be practicing the actual language of the land.
This is in direct opposition to our process, which our process, it doesn't allow anybody to do anything. It requires being, and there is no qualification because as a human you cannot qualify unless you're a legal product. And part of the reclamation process is acknowledging that these treaties exist, and so you're accepting rights or benefits from an authority in your process. Now, this is in direct opposition to our process and what we practice under the public law, which is maintaining basically that you're God, you have the authority, you hold somebody accountable for coming in and shutting up the kingdom. And so what we don't want to do is advertise something that requires or allows somebody to qualify to be whatever title. And so I do thank you for coming on, but
I think you've missed the whole idea, actually. I don't think you've caught the idea whatsoever, actually. What
I don't do is allow or promote anybody that would that actually requires a human being to be the subject of another, which is what you're dealing with. Because
no, it's not at all. You've totally missed it. You've totally missed it. It's about self-governing. And it's not a religion, it's not a thing, it's actually listed in the...
The fact that you have to qualify for something means somebody has to don you the qualification.
You still have to put...
Commission government. This is another form of commission government where somebody commissions you or gives you power to do something else. And, my students, you can give out your link and all of our students can go look at what you're offering, but I will note this warning that you don't have to qualify for anything. There is no subjugation. There will be no subjugation. And, in fact, again, just like the OPPT, if you are preying on individuals, if you are benefiting off of this in any way, if you are subjugating anybody, I will be the first one to indict you. And I hate saying that. You can't
actually indict me as a clan mother because we technically supersede you in law and we're outside the commerce system. There's no benefits being derived because we're not using any kind of a trust fund. And that's what you guys are missing in this type of thing. Everything we ever learned by Saskatoon trials, the Roman thing, the whole private UCC1 has been a red herring. This is a dormant law that you could go to Meredith Quinn, tribal laws, and start looking up things like the Wampum Belt and Peace Pipe treaties or Noah's Ark. It's based on your blood lineage, and it's like, in a sense, an inheritance that each and every woman can do, that you have to be practicing by law, the rules and the universal law of the land.
You're qualifying these individuals, by the way, and my students know exactly what that definition allows. It's another title created by constitutional theory or some constitutional theory, and so these qualifications would be maintained as a constitutional theory, and our students are fully aware of those things. Again, we don't want to promote something that requires qualification because this is licensure. This is such as the DMV or any other program. And what it sounds like is that you're pitching a religion or a religious belief. Even though you may not call it that, we're going to see it for what it is, which is evidenced in your speech tonight about the qualifications and registering a treaty is a document in order to cross a body of water. As the female knows, which is our students know, the bodies of water that are implicated in this state are the female water. She's got water, her birth waters, and that's where all of this is stemming from, is her ability to assign and do everything that she's done with authority of another, certification of another, whatever, is founded on the fact that somebody owns her water. And when you enter into a treaty or you adhere to these treaties, you are what's known as copy holdability. You're allowing that easement through the body again, and I would definitely, absolutely not recommend such a process or program.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but I think you don't have the background, and this is not something, I think this is something we should have further discussions on, because this is not something that I guess you've had any knowledge on or any studies on. And from my end, you're making comments that were actually, I think we're coming at things together. We have sort of the same vision, but what you're doing is like I said, it's not what you're expecting from this.
You're allowing subjugation by allowing a subspecies of human being, which is the male and female, all of these titles, individual, whatever else. And in my process, every one of us are equal. We don't have any subjugation to any other authority or whatever, and so it's you're just handling a moot point here because your process is in opposition to mine.
Well, you know what? Actually, I think just in the terminology, I think it would be worth some more discussions on this because actually, I think you've got some huge pieces that would probably come together and fit quite nicely. And I think this is a matter of it's brand new information if you've never heard of, and it's not a religion, it's not a cult, it doesn't have anything to do with this. And this was such an excuse. That's an excuse. Like I might.
Is this the Sunky Temple Trust thing?
What was this?
Sunky Temple.
Are you talking to Mary Jane? We have nothing to do with that at all.
Okay.
Nor will we.
Somebody in the room thought that maybe it was.
No,
that's why I asked.
It's another political construct. It's still not self-governing because in order to self-govern, you're not qualified to self-govern, and that's something that everybody needs to be aware of. When you're the authority, you are the author. You do not qualify. You do not have a test. You already are. And again, we go back to you are known from your work and actions. And what that means is that you don't qualify. You already are. You're just being. And if any entity or program, affiliation, association, coalition comes to you and asks you to qualify for this or that, you are not self-governing. That is not self-governance. To qualify, you have, again, a power or authority over you, and you are submitting to that power or authority, and we do not do that in my process.
Actually, we don't do that either as well. So what I'd like to do is maybe if we could suggest is that if you look at some of these things called Meredith Quinn tribal laws, because it's international law that's actually done at The Hague, and this is actually some very cool pieces that we've come across, and we've been gifted about 48 manuscripts. Yeah, we've been gifted about 48 manuscripts of law.
You need to go back to the French Revolution, which is where The Hague stems from, and you need to go to the 1848, I believe.
I've gone way before that. This is original law that's been registered for thousands of years in The Hague.
Okay, I need you to back off here for a minute. The Declaration of the Rights of Women, citizens and women, and that was in reference to maintaining her as chattel during